Oh yeah, what's up Facebook, what's up Instagram live? I'm going a little live later tonight just because I can, and y'all are supposed to be off tomorrow for a federal holiday, except for liberals. You liberals need to be your butts at work because you're not supposed to celebrate anything with a foundation because you don't know anything about it. So, yeah, man, I mean, this week, it just keeps getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter by the week. And what's even more humorous about it is the fact that so many people out there, the answer is literally right in front of you. And I'm not necessarily talking about you listening right now live, but obviously people who watch later, and or the friends and family that you're supposed to be adding right now, who are absolutely either losing their marbles, one, two, falling for the drama and the propaganda, which shows what tonight's subject is, again, principle. Americans just proven they have zero principles, zero integrity, zero standards, zero foundation, and have no excuses for it. It's a little slightly different when it comes to country music, which, if you haven't been paying attention, there's a lot of big name people calling out people this week, but I've already called them out, and I already have a #1 best-selling book published in 2024 that exposes the whole system, so you have no excuses. But because people have to see big names, there you go. You shouldn't have to, but that's what's happening. But in country music, at least country music's been a secret society, very secretive, a monopoly, a conglomerate, and you either have to have been in it to know that and have the IQ to be able to log all that and know the formula and know the blueprint, or you wouldn't know that. So you get a hall pass until you meet someone like me. And then when you meet someone like me and you hear the spiel, it's kind of like what the Bible says. A lot of people are Christians, but the Bible says once you've heard one time, you have no excuses after that. The Bible actually says it is better to not know than to know and to deny. Now, you can interpret the word deny all you want, but to me, deny can also mean justify. Means like if you see something in the Bible, but you don't want that to fit you. Like all these hoes on Instagram. Oh boy, I can open a can on that, boy. All these females out there half naked all over Snapchat and Instagram. Just because everybody's doing it don't mean it's right. And there's not enough guys out there and males unfollowing these hoe bags out there. Unfollow them. You're the one giving them fuel. You in the comment boxes. Prime example of Samson and Delilah. Prime example of the Bible where if you cause someone to stumble, you're just as guilty. We have so many holier than thous out there. Oh boy. Well, that's a whole other subject right there. I could open a massive can on that. Whew, woo. So what it boils down to is, again, zero foundation, zero principles, zero integrity, zero standards, zero protocol, zero rules, zero procedures, zero. But then you have to know what a principle is. Then you have to know what integrity is. I used to have sergeants in the military, but also my dad and my grandfathers. They were all cohesive. They said integrity is not just doing what is right when people are watching you. It's doing the same when people aren't watching you. Which is the flip or reversal of the do as I say, not as I do. Which is what every single one of you lived with the career politicians prior to 2016. So most people are showing they're still sheep, led by drama and propaganda, and also what is on a little box and or the biggest names out there. That's all you'll follow. When I, the little guy, not only am I in my own category for books, #1 bestsellers, I'm the only book, the only author with the books for the 45-47, which has been in circulation since December 2023, which stem from my documents, what people call the documents that I published January 2021, long before anybody knew me. My family and friends that were reading those documents, they know. And I just rekindled with a buddy of mine that I served in the Army with, by the way, who very well verifies, vouches, etc. Then my country music book, it's been out there, same thing. I'm the only book, I'm the only artist and songwriter in country music history to go in the system, learn the system, work with major artists, work with major songwriters, hit songwriters, published songwriters, work in major record labels, been in and out of labels as an artist and on the business side without being compromised. Went up the chart with Billboard hits, the top chart in the whole genre. I did not receive an offer, not one single offer, for a record deal or a pub deal after that. And I'm the first artist to do that, but also I'm the very first artist and songwriter in country music history to blow up on social media after all that. And if you don't think that God didn't put me here for a reason, outside of what you want to believe, which veterans out there, hear, all veterans, listen to me. You can always be recruited back in. You can always receive an opportunity. You don't just have to be active duty. You can be recruited back in. And especially if your brain and your mind can think like special operations, you can be recruited by special operations in a civilian capacity. But you have to demonstrate that. You have to show them that you're not compromisable. You have to show them you have the skill sets. You have to show them you have the tenacity. You have to show them that you don't mind taking some punches. You have to show them that you can take it. You have to also show patience sometimes. Just like me, I've had to wait a few times. I had to take it on the chin where it looked like someone out there was just giving me hell because they had a platform out there and they called me a liar and all kinds of things, and I let them do it, and then all of a sudden, the truth always prevails because I know the blueprint. I have the formula. I have both formulas. I have both blueprints, and I'm the only one with it, which is what they call intellectual property. But I would be doing every single one of you a disjustice, even just as a civilian, even if I didn't get an opportunity, even if I wasn't in some unique position, I would be doing every one of you an injustice if I didn't share my knowledge, share my skill sets, share how you take all this information, speed read. Some of you may be speed readers and don't even realize it, but also how do you search for correct information? Because as I titled this video on Facebook tonight, false information in a wartime scenario is sedition. And it don't matter that if you're not official or not. If you're out there on platforms like I've seen multiple people who are basically, all they're doing is regurgitating from a .net, a .org, or a .com, something that fits their narrative, that is straight up sedition and can also be tried for espionage, treason, and all sorts of things. And there won't be no excuses of, oh, I didn't know. No, you wanted a name and you wanted a face. You wanted it to look like that you knew something that all these other people didn't. And that is, again, as every one of you witnessed, August of 24, 2022, that other people have confirmed from the Department of now War, but they let that video go viral that brought me to you. Now, I know some other things you don't know, and that'll come out down the road one day. It's all going to show how every bit of this was a plan. It is a plan, and it's going according to plan. All right, my family and friends know. It's nothing secretive in a bad way, though. But as I showed you and told you, from day one, I've been consistent. I've been my name. I've been my face from day one. I've shown you laws and orders from day one. .gov, .mil. But consistent. But other thing that's very consistent. It is a disgrace to every single memorial grave in this land. Memorial grave, national cemetery. It is an absolute mockery and a disgrace to every single memorial grave from man and woman who has taken the fall for this nation, who died as a service member in this nation, every veteran, and also every single military personnel. It is a sheer and utter disgrace that so many people right now just want to be a name and a face, misleading thousands of people with nothing but drama and propaganda. You are despicable, and you're a disgrace to every single service member, alive and deceased. You're a disgrace. And every single person that you're misleading, their blood is on your hands. We are in a clear and absolute military operation. Strategic plan, strategic operation, special operation. The current laws and orders outline this from January the 20th, 2017 to February the 15th, 2026. And majority of the orders that our military are under right now, especially the National Guard, 2018, 2019, 2020. Military orders are not continuation orders. And as the freaking libtards out there yell that, oh, a president has to have congressional authorization, well, under the law of the War Powers Resolution Act of 1973, that is correct. And guess who has an authorization? President Donald John Trump. Guess who does not have a authorization? Quote unquote Joe. Obama didn't have one either. Zero have an entry in Title 50, which is war and national defense. If you don't know that, and you're trying to smear President Trump, you're trying to smear J.D. Vance, you're trying to smear all these people, I'm screenshotting everybody I find, and you're going into a wall of shame when this is all said and done. The hell with everybody else out there who says, oh, we got to be this, and we... No, you can be that. I'm not going to be that. Because I represent the past who are in memorial graves, which a lot of those are my family members, and I'm also Native American. I'm a son of the Confederacy. I'm a son of the Revolution, and I'm also Native American. So the hell with this whole bullcrap of we got to be compassionate. No, you can be compassionate. I'm not. I will have a wall of shame for every moron, but especially blue check out there who claims they're leading people. You will be able to come see your dumb self. And people will know that the whole time you claimed you were some official somebody, you weren't jack diddly doo-doo. You were nothing more than Peter Cottontail wanting to be one of Santa's elves. That's exactly what you are. You ain't nothing, and you won't ever be anything as long as someone like me is living and breathing and has a platform. Because every American patriot, you must stand up to these morons out there who are all in it for themselves, their face, and money. They have zero respect and zero appreciation for any military. Because if they did, they wouldn't be spewing the nonsense and garbage that they're doing. Because there is most definitely a clear blueprint in place. 45-47. It can't get any more clear than that. He put this there April the 2nd, 2023, which was a midway point of the whole puppet government and government in exile, which are irregular warfare and unconventional warfare. Most veterans don't even know any strategies of unconventional warfare and irregular warfare. And that's okay as long as you're not spewing some nonsense out there. You ain't supposed to know if you don't know. But when you go out there and you're claiming that you're somebody that you're not, and you don't know any of these strategies, which are most definitely invoked right now, then you're doing a disjustice to every single person trying to help people who don't see color, race, nationality, ethnicity, all the different other categories out there, religion, etc. We can lead you to a place of neutrality where you can have cordial conversations with each other based on our foundation, based on the laws and the orders that support our foundation. The end goal of this whole thing is not quarrel. And a lot of you are Christians out there. What does the Bible say about that? It says fresh water and salt water, it can't flow from the same spring. It says that God is not the author of confusion, but of what? Love, peace, and a sound mind. So a lot of you Christians out there, you don't even know the very word of God that you claim of a man you claim that you believe in, you claim to worship, and you claim to worship his son. I did not give you the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. God is not the author of confusion. Fresh water, salt water cannot flow from the same spring. I don't know if you've ever got you a big old gulp of salt water at the Gulf before, but I guarantee you one thing, you were spitting it out just as fast as you could. Unlike Kamala. I had to throw that one in there. Lord, forgive me and be with all the people in South Africa. Yeah. So when you see this visual, 45-47, you've never seen it before anywhere in history. So all of you Republicans, conservatives, quote-unquote patriots that keep doing what the Bible also says not what to do, what does it say? It says, don't build your house on what? Shifting sands, put it on solid foundation. So you're up one day, down the next. Up one day, down the next. Up one day, down the next. You're nothing but doubting Thomas. You're nothing but a disciple who absolutely has proof, and you jump ship every day. Why? You're not a patriot. You can just go ahead and erase that title, and if you don't do it, I'm going to erase it for you. Because you're not a patriot. That's not what patriots do. And too many people are giving yourselves titles of what you penned on your own. You're not a patriot. It don't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Faith. And faith is in things unseen. You can't prove there's a God. You can't prove that Jesus walked the earth. But you have things like birds building a nest. You're not commanding that bird to build that nest. Someone commanded that bird and set that bird into motion and gave that bird a mind to build a nest on its own. So you have things that you can add in a category that can help you with your stance of why you believe in a God way more than an atheist can with their stance. Or agnostic with their stance. And Buddha and all these other things that were man walking on earth who will go on the ground just like I would go on the ground, ashes, ashes, dust to dust. Jesus Christ was not that. God, it's not that. But you can't absolutely prove that. So therefore, you shouldn't be arguing those things with people. But I can absolutely prove that we are in a military government, military occupation. We were in a continuity government. We were in a government in exile and puppet government. We were in those strategies, irregular, unconventional warfare, and there's visuals for it, and there's also there's visual validations, and there's verbal validations. And then combined, conjoined, integrated as well. No one at this point who has read, studied, and comprehended can denounce it. And if you do, you're an evil enemy. Because the devil knows the Bible more than Christians do. Atheists know the Bible more than Christians do. Ooh, ooh, preach! So how can you look at a ball cap if you're a patriot and know you've never seen that before in history? Is 47 done? Do you not know what 45 means? 45 was January the 20th, 2017 to January the 20th, 2021. That would have been your completion of 45. Then you have this dash here, which would be the gap in between. That would have been January the 20th, 2021 to January the 20th, 2025. Duh. And now you have January the 20th, 2025 to what? January the 20th, 2029. Are we in 2029 yet? It's that simple. So you either have to believe in the 45-47 or you don't. And if you don't, then why are you whining, fussing, bickering, complaining, griping, kicking, fussing, cussing? Why are you wasting your energy? Why don't you quit the internet? Why don't you quit being a hassle? Why don't you quit being that to your family and friends? Does your family and friends know you do that? Do your family and friends know you're up one day, down the next? Because I'm pretty sure they'd really put a pin on you then. See how that works? Most of you aren't doing that, though. Oh, you're all tough guy to them. Tough guy to them. So, why are you concerned? Why not go hiking, fishing, golfing, skydiving, whatever it is you do? Why don't you go enjoy life? I'm enjoying life because I know there's a blueprint and a formula that can cure every bit of your concern, your frustrations, or whatever you think it is. It's already there. It's been there. But no one's broken it down like me. Yes, we've had executive orders. Yes, we've had national emergencies. Yes, we've had proclamations. Yes, we've had treaties. But there's a certain unique way that those combine to make a presidential emergency action document that goes with the continuity of government, and those two cannot separate because they were established for each other. You can absolutely prove that. The original plan by President Eisenhower and former five-star General Eisenhower, presidential emergency action documents, there's 4 ways military pairs with federal. Executive orders, national emergencies, proclamations, treaties. Continuity government, they go together. His original plan showed after a catastrophic event, which would be defined in these presidential emergency action documents, which are pre-planned, pre-drafted, means they know they're going to do this. The original continuity government plan was veterans and or businessmen at that time period. Every single one of President Trump's nominations to ambassador, as we speak, 99.9% are Special Operations Command, Special Operations Commands, all different forms, veterans and or businessmen and businesswomen. To the T of what 5-star General and President Eisenhower established. Can't argue with it. And it's bipartisan. Layers and layers and layers of people. Many of which a lot of patriots, quote unquote, call guilty. They're not. There's a lot of people who have had to play a role because this is a special operation. They've had to look guilty because the only way you can fully bring down the whole swamp around the world is to infiltrate from within. You have to get in and figure out where the money's going, who's got the money, who's making the exchanges, what are they using, how are they doing it, where are they doing it, when are they doing it. So many of you have zero respect and appreciation for special operations and military. And I don't give a freaking you know what about your daddy and your mama and your uncle and your cousin and your son and all this other stuff out there. Oh, my Steve, they served in the military. It don't matter. If you don't know every intricate layer, terminology, verbiage, glossary, index, definition, and then all of the laws and the orders with that verbiage, with those words, that terminology, and how they combine and conjoin to make what you're witnessing, then it don't matter who it was, how they related to you. Not a thing. If you don't know yourself, and if they don't know, it don't mean a thing. Kudos to them. They served. Kudos to them. They got a DD 214. Woo! Big deal. Doesn't matter. Many served for the wrong reasons. Many went in for paychecks, benefits, college, medical, dental. That's what they went in for. That was their motivation. They didn't go in there because they can quote from the foundation. They can quote from our past presidents. They can quote from our past military history. They didn't go in there for that. President Donald John Trump did not become the threat all of a sudden in 2025 and 2026. If you can't understand that, you're, again, quit. Go hiking, golfing, surfing, sailing, do something else. Every bit of what you're watching right now would be absolutely stupid, ignorant, low IQ, and everything. If all this stuff that you're responding to was real and had any water to it, ground to it, roots to it, whatever you want to call it, if it had anything, they'd have done this a long time ago. Not in 2025 and 2026 when it would look like to the average folks out there who thinks term limits are constitutional, and they're not. But if it were, then they wouldn't be doing this when President Trump wouldn't have but 3 years left. I won't use the word stupid tonight if I can help it, but that's how ignorant that would be. To go, oh, well, he's only got 3 years left, but we're going to put all this on him. President Trump's already done enough damage. If this was just real time and it was just 2 terms, he's already done enough damage to take all those liberal morons back 150 to 200 years. It took them 150 years to do all the corruption they did. If we want to start with the Organic Act of 1871, which is a good starting point, we really could start with the 14th Amendment, which goes against the Constitution, the original Constitution, the 14th Amendment in 1868. We really could start there. It probably could go back a little further, but he's already set the liberals back 200 years with just 2017 to 2021. So see, it shows people don't think, because so a lot of people don't know to think. You don't even know what you're yelling, cussing, spewing about, because you have no foundation you're standing on. You don't know anything about our foundation. But you've been manipulated and you've been gaslit with the same terms: laws, orders, executive orders, national emergencies, proclamations, treaties. You've been gaslit by them. So I'm going to read some quotes here. John Adams, your second president, by the way, just in case you didn't know your presidents, John Adams, not John Quincy Adams, your sixth president, but John Adams, your second president, out the gate. Let's just read what John Adams had to say. Abuse of words has been the great instrument of sophistry and chicanery of party, faction, and division of society. You know what chicanery is? Deceit of words. Ooh, division of society. Abuse of words has been the great instrument of chicanery of party, faction, and division of society. This was like 1775 he said this. Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. Woo! Let me get out of here now. Let me just quit right now. That's what I should do, because that's exactly what most people... Look, listen to what that says again. This is John Adams, our second president. Again, facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be your wishes, your inclinations, and what dictates your passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. Woo! Drop the microphone on all of you quote-unquote patriots out there. All of you quote-unquote Republicans, all you rhinos, especially you, at least the libtards know they may not know, they don't know they're stupid, they just are stupid. I got to use the word stupid tonight. They're stupid, they're ignorant, but at least they display it. Republicans are always arguing and fighting with each other. President Trump has said this over and over. He says, why is it always Republicans always fighting with each other? Because you have no foundation. You don't even know what the whole thing's about. Then you got morons out there still using the word democracy. There's a platform that's saying some stuff I'm going to address tonight about Palantir. Blowing up. Saying stuff about this person is a civilian, don't know jack diddly doo-doo about anything, got 300,000+ followers, misleading them with propaganda from something they Googled on a .net, a .org, a .com. Not one single law, not one single order. But the very thing you can tell straight out the gate is on the profile, says teaching democracy. We are not a democracy. The sole author. See, this goes back to principles. This goes back to principles again. A principle is where there's a line in the sand. You get to choose your side of the line. And it's one or the other. Because even a guy like me, if you're standing on both sides of the line, I'm going to knock the ever-living hell out of you. Virtually. Maybe physically. But you're going to get on one side. You're not going to straddle the fence. Straddling the fence is what career politicians have done to you all these years. We are not a democracy. So here's a principle. Liberals are always yelling, we're doing this for our Constitution. We got to protect our Constitution. We got to save our Constitution. The Constitution was written solely by James Madison. This is so easy, it's so stupid. If you're yelling you want to save the Constitution, and the Constitution was written solely by James Madison, the same man who wrote in Article 4, Section 4 of that Constitution that we are a Republican form of government, and then when he wrote it was September the 17th, 1787, but the Constitution didn't go into enactment, meaning it didn't go into action until March the 4th, 1789, which is our original inauguration date. So, in between those dates, guess what came about? 85 Federalist Papers written by James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton. And those were promotion papers for the people to adopt the Constitution. Meaning, hey, here's my documents. I'm going to write this book called The Midnight Rider Rides Again. I wrote this just a few, but here's my promotion papers. Here's the summary of why you should adopt this. And in Federalist Papers number 10 and number 14, James Madison wrote that democracies are dangerous. So when you see a libtard or a rhino mention the word democracy, straight out the gate, put a giant stamp right on that forehead, whether it be virtually, you just see them and you go, it's like a little neon light pops on, that you see them and you go, moron, idiot, hypocrite, bigot. Listen to what John Adams had to say about democracy. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, like waste, exhausts, and murders itself. There was never a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. James Madison, John Adams, democracies. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. Then, look at all the stuff going on with ICE right now. And all, look what John Adams said. The right of a nation to kill a tyrant in case of necessity can no more be doubted than to hang a robber or to kill a flea. Woo! If I could just get me some tequila or whatever it would be and get me a lighter. The right of a nation to kill a tyrant in case of necessity can no more be doubted than to hang a robber or kill a flea. We don't even hang robbers anymore. Oh, heck no. We put them in jail for life, 30, 40 years, give them a college degree, you name it. John Adams, power always thinks that it is doing God's service when it is violating all his laws. I mean, you can't get any more clear than that. Your second president, ladies and gentlemen, who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence, by the way, one of the 56 signees. Now listen to this. Now listen to me carefully, because this is very big, very key. I already did this on a podcast this week. I should have waited for my personal, but I didn't because I love this so much, and I'm tasked to do this, and I'm doing it. But you're going to hear it now. Listen carefully. Listen. Do you realize that every single topic that is either on news, quote unquote, and or social media, listen, let me repeat that again. Do you realize that every single topic that is on quote unquote news and or social media, number one, it's either President Donald John Trump, a law or an act or a statute that is leading the way, or it's a reaction from the rear from the Democrats, the liberals. Now, I know it's all an operation, but for the people that don't know that, and or the people who continue to ride the fence, and or come to my page just for quote-unquote free information, Or maybe you're just waiting for President Trump or one of those. Derek Johnson's been right from the start. I've been correct the whole time, and the laws and the orders and the visuals of those prove me right daily. So it's not about me being correct, it's about the blueprint being correct. Because the blueprint is what's going to drain the whole swamp, all the corruption, everything, all over the world, which it's done that. You're watching the build-up as we have done things underworld, the underground, all the trafficking operations, every bit of that. This is why the zero respect and the zero appreciation of the military comes in. Because I know things you don't know. Certain people. Most patriots, the good patriots, you already know that. Because it's already been out there. It's already been forecasted, already been told to you. Our military colleges have been teaching the underground for the last almost 10 years. President Donald John Trump is the first president to put in a strategy for underground warfare, subterranean warfare. The first. So if you'll listen again, every single thing that's on the news and social media is either President Trump, laws, orders leading the way, or it's Democrats reacting. Not one single thing. Listen. Not one single thing on the bots, on the quote-unquote news, on social media, by the Democrats, is them in front. Not one single thing. Not a thing. Every single bit of everything that's been hitting social media and the quote-unquote news, every bit of it is the exposure of the Democrats, of the liberals, of the corruption. Not one single topic can you name. Can I not show you the laws and the orders and the operation? And I'm going to go over those again tonight. Just like this right here. If people would read, let me take that back. If people would, one, know the definitions, know the glossary, know the index, know the verbiage, know the terminology first, then you could go to the laws, have an appreciation for the laws that are currently invoked. Then you'll see the orders that are enforcing those laws and have appreciation for those, because you will have comprehension skills to understand what you're reading and comprehend what you're reading, and you'll have a respect and appreciation for it, because you will see that everything that's invoked right now is for the good of humanity. It's for the good of everybody, especially women and children, especially trafficking. And President Donald John Trump is the first to implement an all-out strategy for trafficking, busting these operations underground. So if you'll know the verbiage, the terminology, the definitions, then go read and study and comprehend all of the current laws and orders invoked from January the 20th, 2017 to present day, this is what you're going to discover. From 2021 to 2025, quote-unquote Joe did not invoke one single Title 10. Not one single Title 32 funding. There's zero Title 50 entry for quote-unquote Joe, which means no congressional authorization, even though I agree with President Trump that Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550, but especially Chapter 33, the War Powers Resolution Act, is unconstitutional. I agree with that. If the president's doing what they're doing and Congress is doing what they're doing, then they'll come together, they'll conjoin together. You wouldn't need Congress trying to put limitations on the president, which is unconstitutional. Then you got the border. How were all the troops deploying to the border in 2024? If Joe does not have a single Title X order in place, foundational, military orders are not continuation orders. So there comes the liberals, here comes the principle. If a president has to have congressional authorization, then guess what that means? A president can only use the military for 90 days, and then he has to have congressional authorization, which means Congress has to have either a declaration or a section in Title 50. President Trump's the only one with that. And because military order is not continuous, if President Trump was a former president from 21 to 25, then that order would have terminated automatically. Foreign leaders. President Trump met with 12 foreign leaders 13 different times from April to December 2024. That would have been a violation of his own executive order 13848 with the national emergency for election interference because it's election year. It would have been a breach of national security. It would have been a seditious activity to overthrow the government of a quote-unquote sitting president. If Joe was a sitting president, that could have been deemed as President Trump conspiring with these foreign leaders to overthrow the government. And not one single word from a Democrat, one single word from a libtard out there. You got clear evidence of Title 18 federal law violations and not one single utter about it. I'm the only one that's ever talked about it. Baby formula. Oh, you remember that? Oh, ye of little minds out there, you don't forget about the baby formula. You don't forget all about that. What did the article say? What did mainstream articles say? That the Secretary of Defense approved the mission. Then, quote unquote, Joe, this article said Joe learned about the baby formula later. But the Secretary of Defense approved the mission? Because none of this was real. It's already been proven. President Trump's already posted that all executive actions by quote-unquote Joe were terminated, no legal effect, which in Latin means void ab initio, which means never existed. Ladies and gentlemen, if 4 years of laws and orders did not exist, you know what kind of catastrophic event that would cause? If they were real and a president terminated them? This stuff's so much fun. I love just taking a big giant doo-doo right in the face of all these weaklings. Defense Production Act. Defense Production Act. Title 50, Chapter 55. The Defense Production Act. It's got 2 entries for quote-unquote Joe in it. Both of those are President Trump's foundational orders. This stuff's so fun. National Guard cybersecurity teams deployed 2018, 2020, 22, 24. Military orders are not continuous orders. Why are the military out? Why are the National Guard cybersecurity teams out? 14 to 27 states deployed National Guard cybersecurity teams on Election Day. You know what they're tracking, ladies and gentlemen? You know what National Guard cybersecurity teams track? See all these liberals out there talking about the 2020 election and President Trump stole the 24? So we're bringing in 20 and 24 because they only know presidential elections. They don't ever talk the others. They don't ever talk midterms. And the National Guard have been deployed to all of them. You know what the National Guard cybersecurity teams track? The real-time data with analog systems, which means that the systems that are voting are digital. They can be hacked, added, and or deleted. Our systems are analog, which means we can't be hacked, which means we got the forensic evidence, the forensic real numbers. Remember the libtards yelling for the National Guard not to obey unlawful orders? Quote-unquote Joe continued 8 executive orders with 8 national emergencies from President Trump from 2017 to 2021. Continued those from 21 to 25 all the way into present day. But he's a Nazi, a dictator, a king. Terminating mainstream media was one of those executive orders. All this with Jimmy Kimmel, The View, and all these things. President Trump's a dictator and a Nazi and all that. Quote-unquote Joe continued that executive order with the national emergency. Enforcing DOJ. All this talk right now about Palantir. Oh, guess who was Palantir was partnered with? Doge. You know who established Doge? Obama. It was known as the digital service. President Trump gave it a new name. And then he enforced it. Guess who funded it, though? In the 2021 American Family Plan Act, Rescue Plan Act, by quote-unquote Joe, Joe funded Doge. So if President Trump's a dictator and a Nazi and a king, then you have to make a case that President Trump's one of them. And you can't, because he's not. He's done multiple other things that absolutely destroys the real Joe Biden, the real Obama, the real Hunter Biden, the real Hillary, the real Bill. Destroys them. Every president had an order of succession with every military domain except for quote-unquote Joe. He has no order of succession. If you know, and you can Google this, you say, hey, what happens if a president doesn't have an order of succession? It says catastrophe. Quote-unquote Joe does not have a single order of succession with the Department of War, National Security Strategy. The most recent national security strategy on the archived page for the United States military is 2017. Where's quote-unquote Joe's from 2022? I'm pretty sure we got plenty of time to get on a platform. I can update all my websites right now if I wanted to, sitting right here talking to you live. I could pull up every one of mine and update my website. I can load a photo. I can do whatever I want on my website. And we got the military archive page at 22 to 26. We're talking about 4 years ago. We can't get an updated photo that, oh, here's Joe Biden's national security strategy. The national security strategy? And the most recent one on there is from President Trump, 2017? Dang, there's some morons on this planet. The most recent White House military office, when you go to Google and you type in White House military office, the most recent that pops up is Obama's. I'm pretty sure President Trump was a former president. There should be an archived page for the White House military office from 2017 to 2021. Why isn't there? Do you know what the White House military office does? That's all your logistics of Air Force One, Air Force 2, Marine 1, Marine 2. Your travel for the president? Hadn't you seen President Trump and all of them traveling everywhere on Air Force 1, Marine 1? Why isn't there a White House military office then? Because you're watching a movie. You're watching a plan, a strategic operation, a special operation. There are 0 retirement letters for Joe Biden. For anyone who retired from 21 to 25, on the official website, there are 0 retirement letters listed. The most recent they have posted is President Trump. So topics like this Guthrie thing, the Nancy Guthrie, Epstein, Israel, Ukraine, Palantir, you know what they do? You know what they are for special operations? Because it's in our unconventional warfare pocket guide. It's in our pyramid for revolutions. If you would go, everyone who's been following me, you have no excuses if you've been wavery, if you've been on the fence, if you've been if you got rattled and shook up, not in the good kind of Elvis way, but if you've been all shook up over all this stuff, you obviously do not take heed of what you most certainly can go read and study and put your eyes and your brain on and consume to give you peace and comfort that the whole thing is military operation. In the Unconventional Warfare Pocket Guide, the Pyramid for Revolutions, it shows all this on every line. Now, you don't have to like that we have to do this, but somebody had to go in and say enough's enough. Someone had to draw a line and say enough's enough with all this propaganda, this drama, this gaslighting, this manipulation, this false information, the lies, and all the evil and the corruption. Somebody had to have a plan. And it damn sure wasn't you. So if you're whining and complaining, always remember and go look in the mirror and go, well, it damn sure wasn't me who had the plan. So you might want to stand down and listen to people who know the plan, who are part of the plan, who are part of all the operation. Listen. Divorce your feelings, divorce your emotions, and listen to someone who just might know a little bit more than you. Because it's for your own good. All of these things, the Guthrie, the Epstein, the Israel, all these things are testers. They're now, not the word that the liberals use. This is a good kind of word for it. They're climate testers to see where you stand. On what side of the line are you on? And 99% of Americans are failing miserably. Propaganda and drama. You still believe everything the news tells you. You still believe everything the little box tells you. You still believe everything on a .com, a .org, a .net because it fits your little fuzzy. I'm like Jerry Clower now. Whoa. Unconventional warfare. Pyramid. Go read the pyramid. Go study the pyramid. Everything is a bait and a switch. When there's a clear blueprint of a clear military strategic plan, strategic operation, special operation, when there's a clear blueprint for it, and there is, that's why I laugh every day when I look at people jumping ship, falling off the wagon, and hitting your head. I'm over here hysterically laughing, going, well, if you just read and study the blueprint in the way that it's laid out, you wouldn't have this problem. But when you're trying to go over to Ben Shapiro, and you're trying to go over to so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so, all these big names, and you're trying to integrate all that, and they're not talking one single law, one single order, one single strategy, you're proving the point. They're all show, they're all mouths, they're all nothing but show and mouths. They're a dog and pony show. They are not authentic, they're not real, and they're also not a part of this operation. Not from the strategic side, not from the actual side over here on the military side. They're not. It's a bait and a switch. So if you want to keep being the bait, you want to keep being the one out there nibbling on the bait. There's a quote out there from one of our founders that says, hey, if you're gonna be the one who nibbles on the bait, make sure there's not a hook behind it. Ooh, that's pretty good right there. Tell you what, I believe he was a country boy. Military laws and orders are not conspiracy theories, my friends. President Trump said this very clearly. And I personally would be ashamed if I was a part of this category, but President Trump says, give them what they want. Well, you're a recipient of getting what you want. If you don't like it, then you should be more of a tough voice, a bulldog out there, a bull on the hill, not worried about what people think about you. Well, I've had everything slung at me now. I was put here. I knew I could take it. They knew I could take it. But it still can be fun and testy in a good way because you do find out what you're made of, as the saying is. But when you know what you know, and you know the laws and the orders, and you know every aspect of this operation via military laws, military orders, military strategies, I mean, I can't be wrong. You know why I can't be wrong? Because it's not my blueprint. I didn't write all these laws and orders. Now, I wrote the book off of intellectual property, and I took my way of thinking to help you out to where you can see, okay, this is a workbook. Here's how you divorce your feelings, your emotions. Here's how you get straight in a chronological order. Learn it in this chronological order, and you'll be all right. And then catch up where we are, and then you'll be able to follow it day by day. and many patriots do. I just do these videos still as if someone's brand new listening. So the principles are this. Let's get to Israel first. Now let's look at Israel is a topic that's a 50-50 topic. It's a 50-50 topic. 9.9 out of 10 people talking about Israel, you ain't from Israel, you have no Jewish descent, you don't know anything about Jewish culture, you don't know the origin of Jesus Christ, you don't know much about Israel, period, you don't know much about the Middle East, period, you don't know much ado about anything. You're just doing what fits your fuzzy right here, and your fuzzy right here may be wrong. You may be looking like a moron. And all I'm saying to people out there is that you're talking about a topic that you absolutely cannot prove whatsoever. All you can do is have a strong opinion or opinion. And you know what we say about opinions, right? So let's just read again a quote from John Adams, your second president, again, if I must reiterate. You're not going to like it, by the way. Some of you holier-than-thous out there think you know everything about Israel. So be prepared to stick a boot up your rear end, like Toby Keith said. The Hebrews have done more to civilize men than any other nation. If I were an atheist and believed blind eternal fate, I should still believe that fate had ordained the Jews to be the most essential instrument for civilizing the nations. Man, you just got roasted. Whoever you are out there, you've been spewing all this Israel stuff and all this Netanyahu and all this other, and you don't know a single thing much to do with anything, and all you're banking on is that, oh, the Israelis killed JFK, blah, 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 blah. There's been a lot of things in history that has been destructive. But most of you are wanting to destroy Israel based off of that one quote-unquote fact alone. And you've not read the Law of War Manual. You haven't read much to do with the international law and Law of War Manual when it talks about relevancy, but it also talks about the making people guilty because you want them guilty, which I'm going to read now, Thomas Jefferson. Now this is Thomas Jefferson who wrote the Declaration of Independence, who was also one of your presidents. He said, "It is more dangerous that even a guilty person be punished without the forms of law than that he should escape." Now I'm going to break that down for you because that is some philosophy right there that will just fly right over the average person's head right there. Because it don't say it in hillbilly, bumpkin, straight up West Virginia talk for you. It don't say it in simple country music words today, which is pretty simple. Country music sucks today. It is more dangerous that even a guilty person should be punished without the forms of law than that he should escape. Now, I wrote this because I'm going to put it in a post, so I'm going to read my post for you. This sentiment touches on one of the most profound and enduring tensions in legal philosophy. It is the balance between substantive justice, which means punishing the guilty, and procedural justice, which means following the rule of law. The statement echoes the logic of William Blackstone, Blackstone's ratio, the idea that, quote, it is better than 10 guilty persons escape than that one innocent suffer. It means if we bypass the forms of law to punish someone we know is guilty, we inadvertently damage the protections that keep everyone else safe. So, again, So many people out there, you are so quick to judge, you're so quick to make someone guilty. You don't know strategies, you don't know chess, you don't know checkers even, you don't know any form of strategy, any form of regular warfare, any form of unconventional warfare, and you don't know there's a plan in place to annihilate, decimate, obliterate all this corruption and bring it down to a quell and suppress it, which is what the whole 2017-2021 45 term was. All the capitulations, all these nations. President Trump was the first sitting president to walk into North Korea. He was the first foreign leader in 500 plus years to go into the Forbidden City of China. He was the first person, not the emperor of Japan, with a sumo wrestler. He was crowned a king in Saudi Arabia. He walked in front of the queen. I mean, we could keep going. He left the dude on the stage at one of the summit things. The Argentinian president, he pushed all these people out of the way. All the liberals saw it. Oh, that's uncouth. Look at him he's a pompous ass making a fool of it. No, it's all operational. Crown gone. The crown's gone. That's why all the talk about Canada. Did you not know that Canada is in letters from our founders, and they're also in the Articles of Confederation, which was the first constitution before they tore it up and drafted the James Madison Constitution? Greenland, all these things. I mean, there's been validation of this all over the board. So the principle goes back to, this was our founders who signed the Declaration of Independence, who supported the Constitution. Our very foundation, which makes a lot of you look, and I'm going to do it, I said I wouldn't, you look stupid. You look stupid, you look ignorant, you look atrocious. And you ain't reading the Bible I'm reading from, which I just looked up again, and stats show that 18 to 35% of people read their Bible on a daily basis, which means you can't know much about the origin of God and the origin of Jesus Christ, which is Israel. You look stupid. And I hope you unfollow me. Please unfollow me. If you disagree with that, please unfollow. Unfollow. That's it. You can't subscribe. I've never been a subscription. Unfollow. Because you're an idiot, you're ignorant, and you're a moron. And you absolutely do not want to look at the general facts, meaning like, this is the premise. This is the neutrality. You have every bit of evidence from our foundation, and you're trying to fit something in that fits you and your little bubble in a topic that's a 50-50 anyways. You cannot prove any of this. And it doesn't matter. What happened in 1963 has no bearing on right now. Not a thing. Then you go to Iran, which ties in. Iran ties in because of the Middle East. All right, and Iran has always chanted. What has Iran always chanted? Death to whom? Israel and the United States. Iran's always chanted this. So how come we have Iran and Israel in all of our National Defense Authorization Acts from day one, from the very beginning of the NDAAs? How is it that we have all of those in plan? And then also, here we go back to 21 to 25, the puppet government, the government in exile for President Trump, the puppet government for quote-unquote Joe. How is it that every president before quote-unquote Joe had multiple reports of Iran on their desk? There's only one report. One. Uno. One. One report. December 28th, 2024, which was 28 days before, quote unquote, Joe will be leaving. There's one report of Iran. But guess what they showed you then? They showed you that, quote unquote, Joe he was nowhere in the picture. Even mainstream articles tell you he's abandoned office. He's disappeared. He's nowhere to be found. Kamala. And I'm going to hit you with something in a minute, so hang on to that. I'm going to hit you with this later. And then, you saw me lighten up last June. You saw me lighten up this beauty queen, right? That all these people, oh boy, you should see the Fox News article. And look at all the idiots in the comment box taking up for this person because of their ignorance on Israel. And this person was on President Trump's prayer team. President Trump bombs Iran. Strategic operation. This moron puts up on her Instagram, not our war. I will not be sending my sons, we won't be sending our sons to some war. This person's son was 12 years old last year when she made this comment. The dude is 5 years away from needing a mama or a daddy to sign for them. The kid rather, if he even wanted to go in the military, is 6 years away from signing up on his own. I'm still waiting on that war to start with Iran, by the way. And then this bimbo was in a session, right? And she got removed from President Trump's prayer team. Just a couple days ago. Who called her out first? But see, I didn't call her out straight out for nothing. She gave and produced evidence that she's a moron, that she was doing it for herself, that she was overstepping her lane. She wasn't in her lane. If you're on a prayer team, you ain't to be putting out there acting like you're someone, like you're his advisor. Oh, not our war. That's someone who don't even know what's going on lawfully, who overstepped and acting bigger than what they are. Removed. She don't even know and didn't even know, and a lot of people in that comment box have no idea that she even did that and said that, first off. But then also, Executive Order 12170, November the 18th, 1979. How old were you then? There is an executive order from Jimmy Carter that has been continued every single year with Iran, with a national emergency with Iran since November the 18th, 1979. What kind of quote-unquote diplomacy is that? And you have straight-up evidence on Obama's archive page. On Obama's archive page that Iran was supposed to have little bit of percent. What? 4%, 3%, somewhere in there? And the IAEA said they were close to 80%. They were very close to a nuclear bomb capability. Remember this great Iran deal that Obama said it was a great deal? The greatest deal ever made? Do you think that Executive Order 12170? Look at it now. It was continued all those years. And Obama's archives tell you that the uranium enrichment was supposed to be down to barely anything. And there's multiple reports by the IAEA and also our military generals telling you it's 80-something%. People don't live by principles. The Guthrie woman, all that bull crap, that's all drama. So we can identify a shooter with quote-unquote Charlie Kirk. We can identify that shooter quick. Cameras everywhere, data everywhere, but we can't find Sasquatch. We got people out there who believe Sasquatch exists. And we got technology in the military that the United States Navy can be sitting in the Mediterranean thousands of miles away and zoom in on a dime on someone's head. But we can't find Sasquatch. Do you realize how dumb people are, people? Think about it. Do you realize how dumb people are? Like them ghost hunter shows. They got them ghost hunter shows on TV. They got some redneck hillbilly bumpkin, worse than my accent, from the deep south, going in a dang old house, trying, hey, y'all in here? If you're in here, move this lamp over here, turn it on and off. I'm pretty sure that our founders and people from those eras who read books, who didn't have any form of social media, phone, or anything, I'm pretty sure that they spoke more eloquent than that, and they're probably got to respond to your redneck hillbilly ass. You're probably scaring the ever-living doo-doo out of them. Hey, y'all out here, I got you an RC cola and a moon pipe. You want to come out and have a conversation with me? You know how stupid people are? But we have people out there who believe this stuff. I could rest my case, but I'm not. I want to keep pounding it. Like Palantir. Palantir. All right, all of a sudden we have people out there, and there's a moron right now on Instagram, got hundreds of thousands of followers, misconstruing, just butchering, twisting to fit their bullcrap narrative, all right? And multiple people out there with Palantir. And there's a principle behind it. There's a single principle, and it's real simple. If you live by principles, and you have to, because laws and orders live by principles. Especially when there's a military operation taking place, and we, the good guys, are in control, you're going to live by them, or you'll get over it. So, first off, Palantir has been working with ICE. They've been tracking all the illegal migrants, which you have seen, 99% of them have either child trafficking on their record or something malicious. Can you imagine being so stupid and ignorant that you would take up for someone who does anything to a child? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being so ignorant and stupid that you call President Trump a pedophile, but you turn around and block ICE? That's a double standard right there in itself. That's a double standard right there. They think that President Trump's a pedophile, but they're blocking ICE from picking up pedophiles? That's a contradiction right there. That's how stupid of people we're dealing with. I tried, ladies and gentlemen, I try not to use the word stupid tonight, but I can't help it. That's how stupid of people we're dealing with. They have no principles, no foundation, no integrity, no standards, no protocol, no nothing. Because if you truly believe that President Trump was a pedophile, you should probably want ICE to get other pedophiles out. Don't that make sense? If you thought that, that's a principle. Because the principle then goes to not President Trump and not ICE, it goes to pedophilia. So that means if you believe that, then you gotta believe that all pedophilia is bad, which it is. But I'm saying that if you're a liberal and you're trying to stop ICE, you just created a contradiction. You created a double standard. You created a hypocritical error. So this shows you Palantir. One, they're working with ICE. They've been working with ICE. Two, there's 4 individuals, and I'm going to read this article. Army launches Detachment 201, Executive Innovation Corps to drive tech information. So see, now you got to have a respect for military and appreciation for military. Because now, after you know this, if you didn't know it before, but now, after you know this, if you're still whining about Palantir, then you have zero respect and zero appreciation for military, but not only military, but special operations. So it says right here, the U.S. Army is establishing Detachment 201, the Army's Executive Innovation Corps, a new initiative designed to fuse cutting-edge tech expertise with military innovation. On June 13, 2025, the Army will officially swear in 4 tech leaders. Now let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When you are a civilian and you've never been in the military, when you can go from civilian to swearing in as a lieutenant colonel straight out the gate, which is not even heard of, that is not how it operates and functions in a normal officer and a normal enlisted. These 4 men went from civilian, being lieutenant colonel. They got a guy, I can't even pronounce his name, Sankar, Shaham Sekar, Chief Technology Officer for Palantir, Andrew Bosworth, Chief Technology Officer of Meta, Kevin Wall, Chief Product Officer of OpenAI, and Bob McGrew, Advisor of Thinking Machines Lab and former Chief Research Officer for OpenAI. Now see, this is where these people out there with Palantir are ignorant and stupid. Got to use the word because they demonstrate it. If you demonstrate it, you get called it. Meta, obviously, was Zuckerberg, Facebook. They changed to Meta, right? Make everything Trump again. That's what it stands for. All right? Meta. Did you not see that Zuckerberg capitulated to President Trump? Did you not see Bezos capitulated to President Trump? Did you not see Tim Cook of Apple capitulate to President Trump? Did you not see Bill Gates capitulate to President Trump? Now see, the ignorant people out there that don't know military operations, strategic operations, special operations, unconventional warfare, irregular warfare, that's why they look dumb. That's why they look ignorant. Because the end goal is not quarrels. The end goal is not division. The end goal is not propaganda. The end goal is not drama. We already had that for the last 150 years. Do you want to keep that? Or are you tired of all this? Do you truly want to end all that? Because that's what's taking place. Those of you who keep all this going, you're doing exactly that. You're keeping it going. Because you don't want to use your brain. You don't want to use your thinking process. You don't want to think. It's too tough for you. You're lazy. You're complacent. And somebody has to be that fire every now and then to kick you in the rear end and say, hey, I'm sorry, you're acting lazy. You're acting complacent. I wouldn't have to talk like this, act like this if you didn't look like it. If you didn't act like it. Because I'm going to tell you what right now, that is badass to go from civilian to lieutenant colonel. Plus, they're very brilliant men, all right? They're data processors, though. They're not data controllers. See, there's another principle. They're data processors, not data controllers. And that's where everybody misses the terminology in what's going on. And by the way, outside of Zuckerberg, so all of this took place when President Trump issued Executive Order 13959 with a national emergency November the 12th, 2020. It went into effect, though, January the 11th, 2021. One of those executive orders that quote-unquote Joe continued 4 years in a row. Why? And it showed quote-unquote Joe make basically an amendment to that executive order, even though the original still stands. So for those who thought Joe was real, why would he be adding to that? Do you know what that executive order did? It froze every asset of anyone who was unlawfully funding the Chinese Communist military. So why did Zuckerberg, as soon as that went into effect, for 7 months straight, Zuckerberg dumped $25 million in stock every single day? This is all documented. Why did Bezos step down from Amazon for philanthropy reasons? The guy who set out to overtake Walmart in logistics and also GDP, the guy who created the most awesome logistics plan ever with Amazon, all of a sudden steps down for philanthropy reasons immediately after this executive order goes into effect? Bill Gates announced divorce with his wife. Warren Buffett left the Bill Gates Foundation, all immediately after this executive order goes into effect. If you knew anything about Florida and Mississippi law, you know a little thing called a technical divorce and what it does. Ask O.J. Simpson why he moved to Florida. So now I'm going to read this article right here. Right here, let me find it. Things like this it's just so much fun. It is so freaking fun. Because it proves people out there are in it for themselves. So, these people out there spewing that Palantir is bad, here's what they're saying. Here's their basis of why it's bad. They're saying it's taking your information and it's violating privacy acts and all these other things, and they're going to take your information and give it to the IRS and all these other things, yada, yada, yada. This is where terminology comes in and listening. Not hearing, but listening. Now listen to what this says. Data that is collected for one reason should not be repurposed for other misuses. This is someone who opposed it, by the way. Combining all that data, even with the noblest of intentions, significantly increases the risk of misuse. Did you hear the key word in that, ladies and gentlemen? This is someone who opposes what President Trump has done with Palantir. I'm going to read it one more time. See, this is fun. This is what I do to my friends and family. I send them a long article and I say, find the key word or key phrase. It says, data that is collected for one reason should not be repurposed for other misuses. Combining all that data, even with the noblest of intentions, significantly increases the risk of misuse. Combining is your key word. See, if you knew what was going on, President Trump, it was 2 departments that had all this information, and they combined that into one building, not 2. Which means what? They already had your data. They already had your information. They already have all your information. They, who's they? There's one of them pronouns. Hey, you freaking libtards, you guys give up? Or are you thirsty for more? They, one of their pronouns coming back on them, they would be the deep state, the swamp. Who did President Trump inherit? Who was? He didn't just inherit this data in 2025. He would have inherited this January the 20th, 2017. So who was before him? Oh! Break it off in your rear ends. Gosh! This is so easy. All they did was take two databases and combine to one. Combining all that data, even with the noblest of intentions, says data is collected for one reason but should not be repurposed. If it's already collected, it's already been there. They've already purposed it somehow. Boom! Mic drop. You don't want none of this. Principles. I can prove all day, every day, how 99.9% of moving lips on social media are in it for themselves. They're in it for their faces. They're not in it for you. Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine. Here we go. Ukraine. There's one of these nations that majority of people can't even put on the map, for one. Two, Ukraine is no business of ours. No business of ours. So why is it such a hot topic with people out there? Why does President Trump get scrutinized so much for Ukraine? Well, 2004 and 2005, the United States Department of Defense, now Department of War, but separate because of different people, but our Department of Defense back then was funding their labs, their biological labs. It's all documented. Who was the president in 2004? 2014, there was only one of two rounds for presidency, and it was called. That's when Obama called and said, give me a few days. We can talk better in a few days, but congratulations. Victoria Nuland, who worked for the Obama administration back then, who was later repurposed, key word there, repurposed in the quote-unquote puppet government of quote-unquote Joe as the undersecretary for quote-unquote Joe. Victoria Nuland, though, back in 2014, she's the one caught on tape, that was verified, saying F you to the European Union. I don't think that's who you wanted to be saying that to back then and getting caught on tape. But then, $1 billion. She secured $1 billion with a B, $1 billion in defense budget, quote unquote, for Ukraine. That's the same $1 billion that Joe Biden, the real Joe Biden, quoted that a certain prosecutor was going to be fired if they didn't fire the SOB. And what did Joe say? It's all on tape. It's all caught. It's all verified. He said, someone asked him, what did they do? They fired the SOB over the $1 billion. See how that works? All right. In 2014, Joe Biden made 7 trips in 7 months to Ukraine on your taxpayer dollar. 7 trips in 7 months. Man, that sounds awesome if it was all for good reasons, but it wasn't, was it? Nope, sure wasn't. March 2014, Barack Hussein Obama had 3 executive orders in the month of March alone in 2014 for Ukraine, 1 declaring a national emergency, and followed up in December 2014. So 4 executive orders in 1 year for Ukraine. Fast forward, 2018. President Trump makes a big announcement. We're leaving the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Range Treaty. If you go read that, leaving that treaty actually creates a thing called Nash equilibrium, which is MAD, mutually assured destruction. It's actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It means that if two countries who have nuclear capabilities, if this country, let's say Ukraine, fired upon Russia, Russia will not fire upon them until they were fired upon. Which means that Ukraine would absolutely have to do something catastrophic against humanity on their own will, first out the gate. And normally that won't happen because of what could take place with all the other players and components around who will not agree with that. That's what mutually assured destruction is. Go look it up. Go read it. Go study it. So we left that in 2018. Guess what happened in the same 2018? Right before that. Soccer ball. You know that General Paul Vallely, that I've been on podcast with, General Paul Vallely set that meeting up in Helsinki, Finland. He's been validated. Oh, we're talking about a general now. The soccer ball. 2018. The ball's in your court, sir. What would you like for us to do? Now let's go back while we're here. To all these people out there that think that, oh, President Trump and Putin, he's his little this and that, this and that. You know, one of the greatest scandals that President Trump said ever existed, you know what it was? Was Uranium One. $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. Uranium One. Guess who was standing there smiling with Putin? Hillary. Guess who was not the president, though, of Russia from 2008 to 2012? Putin. He was the prime minister. You don't think Putin didn't cut a deal with President Trump? Fast forward, 2022, Mitt Romney, Tulsi Gabbard, Victoria Nuland, Marco Rubio. 2022, when the whole world thought that President Trump was a former president. You had the quote-unquote war, quote-unquote, started in February 2022. That's odd. It actually started in February 2014. What are the odds of that? That is how slow, lazy, complacent, and ignorant Americans are. The odds that the quote-unquote war would start in the same month, 8 years later, it never stopped. It was just appeased for a while and put on a quelter. So then, 2022, this quote-unquote war starts. All right. And then you have Victoria Nuland, March the 8th, 2022, under oath. Asked a question by Marco Rubio. Are there bioweapon labs? Are there biochemical labs in Ukraine? Yes or no? After all of 2021, the quote-unquote Joe Biden administration said was a conspiracy theory, literally used the terms that bioweapons and biolabs in Ukraine are conspiracy theories. That same Victoria Nuland, even though it's all theater for the people that thought she was real, but whatever, the same Victoria Nuland of 2014 says March the 8th, 2022 under oath. Yes, but we're afraid the Russians might get them. So there weren't conspiracy theories. Then Tulsi Gabbard talks about the biolabs the same day. And in the same week, guess what Mitt Romney said? After his component, one of his colleagues, sat there and just said under oath that there are biolabs, Mitt Romney said Tulsi Gabbard is spewing conspiracy theories. You see what they were showing everybody out there? They were showing you, too, that a Republican, a rhino, he wasn't really a Republican. He was a chameleon. He blends in. He says what you want to hear just to be elected. Money. You know what happened in 2022, ladies and gentlemen? FIFA World Cup. Do you know who did not play in the FIFA World Cup, ladies and gentlemen? Russia. Now, don't that soccer ball look a little bit more prettier? That's all you got to know. Nuclear weapons and trafficking. That's what Ukraine links to. Nuclear weapons, nuclear power, nuclear facilities. Why did quote-unquote Joe during the debates talk about NATO? Article 5 of NATO, the Article 5 of the NATO Constitution, says an attack on one is an attack on all. Ukraine's not a part of NATO, ladies and gentlemen. Ukraine will not be any concern of ours whatsoever. The only thing that links Ukraine to a concern to the U.S. is Joe Biden, Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Jimmy Carter. They were all in it. Trafficking. It's one of the most biggest hotbeds for trafficking because you got to know where it is. It's not landlocked per se, but it is in another kind of manner. It's like the flyover states. Not many drive through it. Which brings us to President Trump signing an executive order in March 2025. Listen, baby, this ties into the next topic. Epstein. Would you believe that Epstein and Ukraine tie in? There's one key factor. President Trump signed an executive order, and this is a reminder, because we talked about it last year, but President Trump signed an executive order in March 25, a grant of clemency for Devin Archer. You know what a grant of clemency is? That means to forgive you. That means that, hey, you gave us every bit of information we needed. And Devin Archer is directly connected to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, which means all this talk about Epstein baited everybody out there, because if you don't like pedophilia, then guess what? Guess who's enriched in it? $636 pages of all the filth you want to read and see. Phone numbers, emails, everything. Joe Biden, China, Mexico, Serbia, Libya, Kazakhstan, the Ukraine, Romania. Uh-oh, Erica Kurt, Romania. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, Matthew McConaughey, you got a face in here. Ooh. Oh boy. They bleep out everything, but it is very graphic. They show you enough to show you don't want any child around this booklet, ladies and gentlemen. 636 pages. Verified by whom? For the people that thought it was real, guess what old Hunter did? Hunter went on an interview in August and July last year called Channel 5. Millions of views on YouTube. And they verified that the laptop is real. There's a libtard on X, Brooklyn Dad. He's a paid opposition POS. He never responds to messages because he's paid opposition. All right? He's in this book on page 59. All directly linked to human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, all in here. Incest, Hunter and his niece, all kinds of stuff. I mean, you talking about nasty. It's nasty. They bleep out the photos, but it is very, very, you better have a strong, strong faith and also discipline and structure before you go crack this bad boy open. But guess what? Hunter verifies the Biden laptop report is real on his interviews. This book was given from the FBI once they ceased the computer. Real hard evidence, not all this other evidence out there. You got to have evidence, ladies and gentlemen. You got to have real evidence. Hunter left his laptop, and it's not the first time he's done it, but he left his laptop. The guy that got the laptop called the police. The FBI picked it up. The FBI gave Rudy Giuliani, who was one of President Trump's lawyers, gave him a copy. He gave it to the Marco Polo group, and they comprise this book. And it is full. I mean, it is. You can Google it. You can still purchase it. 636 pages. So, like, the principle with Epstein is this. First off, it's a 50-50 topic. Every Republican, majority of them will take up for President Trump. Every liberal Democrat, they take up for their people. The real hypocrisy, though, is that President Trump's name shows up in portions of it that is separate from the Ghislaine Maxwell, and they tell you this. But here's what they do. Now listen before you go reacting in the comments too much or wherever you are whenever you're listening to it. Just listen, though. You got to listen to the principle or you're just wasting your time. Here's the principle, though. One, it's a 50-50 topic. So now the 300 names that were listed, Robert De Niro, Kurt Cobain, Lisa Marie Presley, Janet Reno, Obama. Obama? Just a few weeks ago, liberals all over X were posting photos of Obama. Guess who's not in there? Obama. Yeah, they are. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Ashley Biden, all in there. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton. I mean, you name them. They're there. So, by principle, if you're going by principle, then you can't sit here and attack President Trump without attacking Obama, because that's their people. Liberals think Obama on the moon, stars, moon, everything. So why aren't they saying anything about him? So by principle, they should be attacking all of them, because the principle will be about pedophilia. But then you got to have hard evidence of where was President Trump? Where was Obama? Where was Hillary? Where was Bill? Where was Ashley? Where was Joe? Where was Hunter? Where were they? What were they doing? So see, you can't just assail anything just because you want someone to be guilty. So this is where the neutrality comes in. Now Joe Biden and Hunter and Bill and Hillary and Obama, I can show you where they're guilty in all kinds of other ways by evidence. But I can't show you that because I'm not on that case. I'm not on the Epstein case. I'm not on what's privy to what was actually shown, given, etc. And you don't have that. But here's the other thing. Here's what liberals do. Liberals that go, well, they scrubbed this name. They've had time to scrub it. Well, they've had time to scrub everybody if that's the case. And the whole principle still goes back to, okay, Epstein's first run-in with the law was 2005 to 2007. So from 2005 to 2016, nothing. From 2021 to 2025, nothing. President Trump didn't become the threat in 2025. So if President Trump is a dictator, a king, and a Nazi, and all these other things they sell of him. Well, one, if he was one of them, they wouldn't be selling of those things, because those are, that and the pedophilia, those are big things to accuse somebody of in the column. So it wouldn't look like that. And then you got to go to, okay, well, he didn't become the threat in 2025. So if he's truly a Nazi and a king and a dictator, and he's truly destroying everything that you all, they all, them, claim that they've built all these years, and if he's destroying quote-unquote democracy, then why didn't they prevent number 47? Because if they had evidence, which pedophilia, you would have to admit, if there were evidence on anybody of this level of pedophilia, you would have to denounce them, and also what the Bible says, the millstone around their neck. You would have to. So if you had hardcore evidence on the man who's destroying everything you claim you built, everything that America, you claim America is, which it isn't, but they claim it, if everything that they assail on President Trump was true, then why didn't they prevent number 47? You wouldn't let him get back in to do all these other laws and executive orders, national emergencies, proclamations, treaties. This is how simple this is. Three Obama and Clinton appointed judges in July and August, when quote-unquote Hunter, July and August, was confirming that book with all of their links to everything, trafficking, money laundering, murder. In July and August of 2025, 3 Obama and Clinton appointed judges blocked all of the 2005 to 2007 grand jury material of Epstein. But not a single Clinton, Obama, or even Bush appointed judge blocked one tariff from 2021 to 2025. This proves to you, ladies and gentlemen, that President Trump is not a part of this. Because, again, listen to what I just said. 3 Obama and Clinton appointed judges blocked the release of the grand jury material of the very first evidence, the hardcore evidence on Epstein from 2005 to 2007. They blocked that in July and August of 2025. But not one single Obama, Clinton, or even Bush appointed judge blocked one single tariff from 2021 to 2025. Those tariffs that were put into place in 2018, that they call President Trump a dictator, a Nazi, and a king, and say that it's adding to your pocketbook and it's destroying the economy. This stuff is that easy. This is so funny. It's so simple, it's stupid. It's so stupid, it's simple. So see, now the principle goes back to pedophilia. So now there's your bait. We got everybody baited up. Gotcha. Gotcha, bitches. Gotcha. Now, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to accept hardcore evidence. Laptop, computer, technology. Gotcha. Castle clean. Hunter Biden brought he brought them all down. Every aspect of it. Because he's stupid and ignorant. Stupid and just complacent. The moron went and left his computer behind. Gotcha. Gotcha. There was a good question that came in. And it's just a simple question, but it's a good question. Simple meaning this is so perfect of a simple question that came in. It said, when did President Trump, when was this plan implemented? when the moron Hunter Biden left his computer behind and it had every aspect of every tie-in to pornography, child trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering, phone numbers, emails, everybody? And he logged all this? He took photos of it? Gotcha. Time to run a military occupation on our own nation. We got them. We got them right where we want them. We have it all. We've caught them all. Remember President Trump? Ye of little faith out there, ye of all shifting sands, ye of no respect or appreciation for the United States military special operations. Now go back to Hunter. Whether you want to believe he's real or not, I know he's not. I know it's all an operation because I know what I know. I can't unknow what I know because I was placed here. But however you want to slice your pie over there, you just slice it right on up. Because Hunter is on record confirming this laptop last July and last August. And then he even tells on himself. He tells you how they do things, how they did things. He says in this interview that, yeah, Donald Trump, what they do is they just put out, all they need is 10% of people to say that, oh, that he did this and he did that. Then that 10% grows. He's showing you what they did. This stuff is that simple. He's telling you what they did all these years and what they're doing to President Trump now. Now, this is all part of strategy and plan. They're making it look like that. Why are you falling for it? 45-47 shows you we've already won. We got this. We've already won. That's your visual that we've already won. But the majority of people out there don't know that. So they have to see this, as President Trump says, give them what they want. Because they love drama and propaganda. Not real truth, not real facts, because they think truth and facts are their truth and facts. They have no principles, no foundation, no standard, no anything. So they got to be giving it this way, bait and switch, drama, and then bam. So now pull in this July, August interviews. Hunter confirms the laptop. Now go back to President Trump's executive order. March 2025. Grant of clemency to Devin Archer. Devin Archer, in this book right here, he is in photos, and you've seen the photo floating around on the internet before. Gotcha. Now I'm going to read something that is really cool. President Trump posted just this past week that there will be voter ID whether or not Congress passes the SAVE Act or not. He said this election there will be voter ID whether Congress does it or not. You know what that is, ladies and gentlemen? That is validation of the military government. I can't twerk, but I can shake a bomb every now and then. Validation of military government. And I'm going to read that for you, because you just need to be slapped in your face again out there. There are 3 kinds of military jurisdiction. Now listen to here. And see if you don't hear what President Trump just did. This is straight from the Law of War Manual, ladies and gents. There are, under the Constitution, 3 kinds of military jurisdiction. One to be exercised both in peace and war. Another to be exercised in time of foreign war without the boundaries of the United States. or in time of rebellion and civil war within states or districts occupied by rebels treated as belligerents, and a third to be exercised in a time of invasion or insurrection within the limits of the United States or during rebellion with the with the limits of states maintaining adhesion to the national government when the public danger requires its exercise. Now listen to this. The first one may be called jurisdiction under military law and is found in the acts of Congress prescribing rules and articles of war or otherwise providing for the government of the national forces. The second may be distinguished as military government, superseding as far as may be deemed expedient the local law and exercised by the military commander under the direction of the president with the express or implied sanction of Congress. The third may be denominated martial law proper, and is called into action by Congress or temporarily when the action of Congress cannot be invited, and in the case of justifying or excusing peril by the president in times of insurrection or invasion or civil or foreign war within districts or localities where ordinary law no longer adequately secures public safety and private rights. President Trump's post says specifically that there will be voter ID whether or not Congress passes it. That is a supreme commander of a military government with martial law proper implied. And the National Guard cybersecurity teams have been deployed in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2024 elections. If you don't like it, you can get the hell over it, is what you can do. Because it just shows, anyone who don't like that, shows you have zero appreciation for special operations, military personnel, veterans, laws and orders of the military, the Law War Manual, and again, if you'll go read the Law War Manual, you'll read about a man named William Winthrop, who was known as the William Blackstone of military law and precedents, and he tells you very specifically that military law came long before the Constitution. So you'll get the hell over it, is what you'll do. That's what you'll do. President Trump and the media from day one started using terms capitulation, occupied country, white flag of surrender, puppet government, and restoration. All different times. You've heard every one of those terms in articles, headlines. Oh, so-and-so's not going to capitulate. President Trump, Angela Merkel. Remember Angela? No one remembers her now. I gave her the white flag of surrender. It's called the white flag of truce in the actual Law of War Manual. That wasn't him butchering anything. That was him disguising it, because most people weren't going to know that anyway. Majority of people weren't going to go look it up. And then the others weren't going to know how to make it applicable with everything else he was saying and doing, which is a chronological order, a blueprint of a military operation, which is the 45-47. But he said the white flag of surrender, which is a truce negotiation. He said this multiple times. Then in October 2024, right before the election, he specifically said that the Great Liberation starts November the 5th and the Great Restoration starts on January the 20th. If you go look up the Law of War Manual, and if you go read Winthrop, if you go read Military Law and Precedents, which I've provided the link, it don't give you a hyperlink because it's a PDF file, but if you copy and paste that, it'll pull up 1,127 pages of William Winthrop, who was also a judge advocate general, who was a colonel in the military. He's known as he's basically the master of military law, all right, which a lot of people read and study and learn from. He's been passed many years. All right. If you'll read that, and then if you'll go read the law of land warfare, you'll read in there about restoration. Restoration in occupied country, puppet government, they all going together of a military government. Puppet government and occupied country are in the same chapter in the Law of War Manual. Guess what that is? Military occupation. Now watch this. This is so freaking funny. But it's also what I call validation. Now remember what I said earlier? I said pause on this. I'm going to bring it back up right before I close. And I said mainstream media, Politico, Newsweek, all of them, all your biggies, they were talking about how Joe Biden abandoned everything. Said that he abandoned, he disappeared, nowhere to be found. Remember this in December, just last year? Remember that? Yeah? No? You should? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That. Yeah. So mainstream media, that would be liberals if we were in a real time, right? Real life, real time, not an operation, not all that. Then you'd have to believe it's real time. And this is what they're writing. Well, they would be saying that Joe Biden disappeared. He's nowhere to be found. He's not in the premise of Washington, D.C. He's nowhere. We don't know where he is. Where did he go? We can't even get an interview with him. Where did he go? What happened to him? He abandoned ship. He's no longer in command. Kamala's up there. That's what they were all saying. This is what these articles read. Which shows you again that what happened what happened over here in it was 24 when that happened, December 24, which I just miscalculated there. So it wasn't last year, it was the year before, because my goodness, we were already going through 25. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Just that quick. We're almost 2 years from the election. And look at what all's transpired, and people still have no idea what's going on. So on December 24, remember that Iran report, December 28, 2024, which would be the first one in all the 4 years under quote-unquote Joe, which would have been 28 days before President Trump. Remember all the negotiations with all the remember the hostages that they gave credit to President Trump? Before he was president, he got credit for that? It's so funny. Remember his task force? Remember his special force Witkoff, Steve Witkoff? Do you not listen to the guy you claim to support? So that was December 2024, that Iran report. That was also the same month that all these articles were saying that quote-unquote Joe abandoned ship. Now watch this. It's just so funny. Law of War Manual. Winthrop, William Winthrop, Military Law and Precedents, 801. Let's read what this says here. The status of military government continues from the inception of the actual occupation till the invader is expelled by force of arms or himself abandons the conquest or until, under a treaty of peace, the country is restored to its original allegiance and becomes incorporated with the domain of the prevailing belligerent. In layman's terms, this means it refers to a retreat or the halting of an invasion where a force decides to stop attempting to occupy a region. It can symbolize the end of a ruthless pursuit of power, such as when character gives up, often violent, attempt to control resources or land. You just got virtually teabagged. If you're a liberal, if you're a rhino, if you're someone out there who just has zero respect for the military and appreciation, you just got virtually teabagged. That was me teabagging on your head. The status of military government continues from the inception of the actual occupation till the invader is expelled by the force of arms or himself abandons the conquest. And there's articles specifically reading that Joe Biden abandoned. And I have shown you how 21 to 25 was a government in exile for President Trump. He validated that in September last year with the Turkish president when he said, while I was in exile, he remained my friend. He used the word exile 3 times, very awkwardly, if you didn't know what he was trying to do. He said, while I was in exile, he said it just like that. He didn't say, while I was in exile, yeah, I did this. He said, while I was in exile, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Puppet government. February last year. February, just a year ago. Last year, there was a little reporter who asked President Trump about a puppet government and a capitulation in Russia. Have you ever heard a reporter in the history of anything talk about a capitulation and a puppet government? How many people out there, if that was a real normal setting, how many people you think knew what the heck she was talking about? They cannot put this more in front of you. You don't even need special operations, secret military to forecast it to you, to tell you that. They put it right in front of you. How do we have Americans who don't even have the hunger to want to know how anything works with the government? Want to yell about it, fuss about it, complain about it, gripe about it, cuss, bicker, kick, yell, scream, just react. But do you truly want peace? Do you truly want quarrel to stop? Do you truly want that? Because even Republicans don't look that way. When you're following all these people out there who don't even talk one single law, they don't even talk a single word from a single sentence, from a single paragraph, from a single law. It's all surface level talk that you can talk about with your friends and family. You're following 99% of people who you can just sit with your friends and family and talk about. You don't need some podcaster saying, oh, we got to do this. All it is regurgitated, and it's someone who's validating what you want to hear. That ain't how truth works. That's not how facts work. That's not how the law works. That's not how orders work. Laws and orders are for multitudes of people. It's to give you freedom. It's to give you options. It's to give you choices. But there's certain things that shouldn't be ever in federal government, state government, and local. Ever. So that's what we've been cleaning out, is getting all that out of here. There's certain things that don't need to be in it. I mean, you can't get any more validation than that right there. That right there is straight out of the Law War Manual, straight from the horse's mouth, the man who's considered one of the most brilliant on military law and precedents He is considered the William Blackstone of military law. And President Trump sat there and told you in October 2024, Madison Square Garden, all these big quote unquote rallies, he sat there and told you the great liberation starts on November the 5th, Election Day. The great restoration starts on January the 20th, 2025. Those are all occupied country, restoration, white flag and surrender, puppet government, capitulation. They're all terms straight out of the Law of War Manual and the Law of Land Warfare. That's it. They're not federal government anything. And then, quote unquote, Joe abandoned. And then in the Law of War Manual, under a military government, the status of military government continues till the invader is expelled by the force of arms or himself abandons the conquest. As President Trump told you in 2020, the cure cannot be bigger than the problem. All you got to do is take that phrase and that quote and put in the solution, the solvent, the resolution. Whatever word you want to put there, cannot be bigger than the problem. So many of people out there, they think there's got to be 100 laws. You only need one law, one order, and to enforce it. You don't need a million laws. Just the same as you don't need a million people telling you anything. You need the one person, two persons, three, whoever, but you don't need millions telling you. If there are millions talking about it, great. But you don't need millions to give you validation. You need the people who are not compromised, who are official, who are authentic, but military first. There's some out there who aren't military that I go on with, and they're good people. And they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. There are some good civilians, podcasters. There's a lot who share me who are good. They know I'm not talking about them. But the ones who are out there misleading you with drama and propaganda, when there is most certainly a blueprint with visual and verbal validations, you don't need anything else. And that's what's going to help everyone lead a more quality life. Because when you quell all this nonsense and garbage that you don't need in your life, when you get rid of it, you're gonna know who you can trust because of consistency and the visuals and the verbal validations. You're going to see that. Like people like me, you'll see that. You'll have it. It's been this way for 4 years now. It's going to continue that way because we're not compromised. We're authentic. We're real. We're real operators. It's just the way it is. The secret military who will show their faces, some will, some won't. You know it. But one special operator contacted me this week, and I believe they're going to be ready to come out on a podcast here soon. And you'll be able to look at their resume. You're going to be able to see. And I hope you have appreciation and respect for what they've done all this time, that you would never realize that there are so many people that operate in complete secrecy but are not compromised. They're good. And we're always going to be in this situation. Do you realize we cannot eradicate evil? We can suppress it and we can keep it down, but that requires every single person listening to people who already have the skill sets like I do, and them, and the ones that I'm around. You can have that too if you'll read, study, and seek to comprehend. You might actually tap into something you didn't realize you had. And you might actually become a part of that. Same as I said with all you veterans out there, you didn't have to be special operations in the military to be special operations recruited. You got to display that you have that, and they'll vouch for you. The ones that find you think that you have that skill set, they'll contact you. It don't happen often, but it can happen. So once you read, you can't unread it, you can't unsee it, you can't unknow it. There is most definitely a blueprint there. It's there. And there's one particular follower that I have all the time that says it's not a book, it's a workbook. It's a chronological order of all the laws and orders that make up the military occupation, military government. It's not all laws and orders. It's just the ones that make up the military government, military occupation. This is part 2. It's obviously a lot bigger, but this goes heavy into regular warfare and unconventional warfare and special operations. It teaches you how to think like that. It gets you out of the right or wrong and all this rhetoric out there that people spew all the time. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about getting things right. And if you'll learn that, you'll easily see who is misleading you and who isn't. I never attack anybody. I'm always in defense, or I'm showing you, hey, stay away from this person. They're a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's not attacking. When I have the goods and evidence and been put here for that, that's just straight up being operational. Saying, hey, these people are misleading you with drama and propaganda. You don't have to be misled. When there's an absolute, clear blueprint, chronological order of laws and orders that you can go right now and look. And that's what I did with these books, by the way. Most people know. But when I was in college, I hated having to hold your place in a book like this, then flip to the back and look at the reference, and then go find another book and find the reference. I hated that. So in these books, as you go, the reference is there. You don't have to flip to the back of the book. And if you get it on Kindle, you can just click on the hyperlink, and it's going to pull that up on your whatever you have it on, laptop or Kindle, whatever. But that's the whole point of that, is that, hey, this is easy. Don't make it complicated. You don't have to. But history will account for this dash. History's going to account for it. It's already accounted for it. You just got to go tap into it and read and study it. But history's going to account for it. Meaning every aspect of what I talk about will be accounted for. Now, this is just the icing on the cake, just to show you another thing that happened this week. So for Valentine's Day yesterday, which to me was Single Awareness Day, I was sad all day yesterday. So sad. Single Awareness Day. Not sad at all. All right. But just to show you that President Trump, first off, President Trump and I have the same gematria. All right. So if you do my name, Derek Jonhson, and Donald Trump, we're 138 simple gematria. All right. So we had the same code. If you take 45 plus 46 plus 47, the 45-47, 45, 46, 47, guess what it equals? 138. That's our code. It's also Barron Trump's code. All right. So it just shows you we're on the same everything, the same thought process, same wavelengths, etc. We think the same, we operate the same. I'm not ahead of President Trump because I'm smarter than him or anything of that nature. I'm ahead of President Trump with certain things because it's a special operation. See, it's an operation with a blueprint. So I'm ahead always, and anyone who's special operations is ahead because it's a blueprint. So no one special operations, secret military, etc. is ahead because nothing like that. It's not anything personal. It's straight up because this is a clear blueprint. And that's why everything coming out with country music right now, I've been ahead of it. I've had people texting and emailing and messaging all day. Oh, you were correct about so-and-so, some big so-and-so's already called them out. I'm correct because I'd already been there, done that. It's already done it. I've already wrote the book. It's there. This should be selling like hotcakes too, but it don't. But whatever. The royal flush of country music. I've exposed it all. The whole blueprint, how it all ties together. And I just did a 3-hour special podcast of how to follow the money in country music, how it ties in with the money of the deep state and the swamp. Now that's all past, but it's all got to come out on its own timetable because of so much corruption. They couldn't dump this all at one time. No one would appreciate it. They already don't appreciate it now. Even when you go through every portion, people don't appreciate it. Because truth is uncomfortable. That's what truth is. Truth and facts make you uncomfortable. It shows where your priorities are and what your principles are. And the truth hurts sometimes, as the saying is. It just does. But to show you another thing that President Trump and I, this is so awesome. He put up these funny little pictures for Valentine's Day. And if you'll go back 2 and 3 years ago on my podcast, someone's going to find it. And I thought about doing some kind of fun thing like, hey, the first person that I don't personally know, and I don't know you by name, the first person who finds it and emails me, because I have someone who sits on top of my messages, the first person who messages and you find it in a video, we'll get your address and we'll send you a book, whatever you don't have, book or a shirt or a hoodie or whatever you don't have, be honest, but we'll send you something. But you go back and you find my videos, you're going to find the validation way back that I was talking about the border. And I said specifically, do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that the closest nation to the Del Rio border is 1,536 miles? Now, what are the odds that President Trump put in there on one of these memes yesterday? 1,537 miles. 1 mile off, ladies and gentlemen, 1 mile. So that depends on what portion of the border you were looking at. From Del Rio to Venezuela was the country he was talking about. I said this a long time ago. I would say all the time, 1,536 miles is the closest nation, and you still had to cross a major waterway to get to Del Rio, Texas. And then President Trump puts on a meme. 1,537. You don't think that we're not somehow connected some way, even though I've been around him and met him and a lot of his people that I know at the personal, private area, and also Mar-a-Lago, but also the private country clubs. It tells you one or two things. It's either one or both. The odds that he would pick Venezuela, they weren't the only people who were coming to the border. It was Nicaraguans, Haitians. But he chooses the country that I said, 1,536 miles, 1 mile off. You can't be any more validated. And again, people who have met me personally, people who know me, my friends and family, they know I have the least pretentious bone in my body. I truly do this because I know what's going on, but I also love it, compassionate, passionate, because it's a family heritage and a family lineage. I'm a Native American, I'm a son of the Confederacy and a son of the Revolution. You can't get any more American than me. You just can't. And my family, I do this for every family member who honorably served and fought. I do this for every memorial grave. I do this for every veteran. I do this for every guy and gal that I serve with. I do this, this has deep ties. And then we do it for you. And somebody has to be that. Somebody has to be the bull in the ring. Somebody has to be the bull on the hill. Somebody has to be the bulldog and the bull who can stand up to all the evil, corruption, propaganda, and all this other stuff that are trying to knock you off every day. Whether it be literally, which is rare, but mainly emotionally, psychologically. Anybody, but especially all these people out there with these blue checks now that you can pay for, and these red checks on True Social, who don't have a single clue what's going on lawfully, and they're trying to act like they're a source of information, and they're not quoting one single word from one single sentence, from one single paragraph, from one single law. We're in a clear military operation. It cannot be any more clear. And you have all the validation, again, all day, every day in my videos, but this one tonight especially, as we amp up, they're just amping this up. They're just amping it up. You want justice, it's coming. But you cannot seek justice, like Thomas Jefferson talks about, if you don't seek prevention. You have to own up that you allowed it to get to this point. It may not be you specifically, but everybody as a whole. We have to be in the prevention mode always. You have to have skill sets on the front. You can't wait till crap hits the fan and start whining and complaining and demanding things. Prevention. Get in that mindset. Learn the prevention, because on the flip side of your justice that you're going to get it. It's not going to be on your time, because we don't work on your time. But you're going to get the justice. But on the flip side of that, guess where you come in? Your civil roles, your civil duties, your civil responsibilities. Prevention. Once you get your justice, we're going to see what kind of American patriot you really are. Do you care about your children and their children and their children? Do you have the Native American 7-generational mindset where you think 7 generations out? You live today for that 7th generation? We're going to find out what kind of patriot what you are. We're going to find out what you're made of, as the saying is. Validation, baby.